Hey,
Oh well, how's it
how you
going?
doing? I'm
Yeah,
all right. Yeah, yeah. Good
yeah.
to see you.
You
I
turn
don't know
my
where I'm.
guitar. Adjust my
What's that?
headphones. There we go. Yeah,
Yeah, that's perfect. Perfect angle.
excellent.
And look at that background.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's
Amazing.
the old studio. That's been the good thing about this year. Setting up a little studio in the house. You'd probably got the same there. You've got a really fancy background. What's going on with
Yeah, because I haven't got a studio really. That's
that?
why. Because this would just be like the wallpaper basically.
You've got full
Um,
CGI.
yeah, CGI. Yeah, it's not. I'm actually animatronic
Yeah, I
tonight.
thought so.
It's not actually me.
I did. I
Um,
always wondered.
yeah. Well, yeah. Normally, that's
Just
probably
a
what
bit
you
too
normally see.
perfect.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Anyway, that looks nice. What's that base there on your left
Oh,
or right? That's probably your right, actually, isn't it? Because it's the other way around.
that guy. Oh, that's Watkins Rapier. That one.
Yeah, that looks amazing.
Yeah, it looks amazing. It doesn't sound amazing, but it
Oh,
looks. I've always thought, oh, I'll use it in the video or something like that. And I did use it
yeah.
for some things because we've been doing this sort of um, garage rock band that I do called The Loveless that I do with Marc
Oh,
Almond
yeah.
and Neil from Zig Zig Sputnik and Iggy's drummer. And
Hmm.
I did actually did some recording with that, and it sounded kind of cool for that. But like, it's so old and wonky that like you could never use it live. Like, it just would be too weird. But like for recording, it kind of works quite well. If you want something that sounds crap, it's really it looks great. It
Well,
sounds terrible. It's absolutely the guitar for that.
well, sometimes that's the best. I mean, that's the problem with a lot of amazing-looking guitars and basses. They're not worth the effort because they just don't sound. But then,
Yeah,
like you got to look at the image, haven't you? Because that looks
yeah.
amazing.
It's funny when you're recording though, because there's like a really like fine. Oh, it's like Spinal Tap in it. There's a fine line between clever and stupid.
Oh, yeah.
There's a fine line between like loads of character and then just crap. It's sort of
That's
like
true. Yeah. Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
that grey area in the middle where you're like, is that actually really vibey or is it just really cheap and nasty sounding? Sometimes a bit of both, but that one's probably
Yeah.
more in the crap side.
But you didn't use that on stage with the Loveless, did you? At the
Nah,
100 Club? No.
it's just so the pickups are so weak sounding that you couldn't. I've used
Right.
a few different guitars with that band, but
Yeah.
I don't know what I'll try next with them. And it's sort of I was going more towards sort of flat wounds and old sort of like 60s, 70s sort of sounds for that kind of thing. Sort of the right kind
Right.
of vibe. Yeah, you've got a few really nice old guitars, though, right? Like I've definitely seen some pictures of you with some really cool 50s retro futuristic looking things. What do you use for the
Um,
various things you do? Different things for different bits and bobs.
yeah, I mean, for the last, well, sort of 20 years really, I've had this Taisco, which is like a Japanese kind of twangy thing that I've been using. I use it with everything I do really if I can,
Yeah,
but since I've been doing the solo stuff, which is like that's about 10 years I've been doing that now. That's been my main guitar for that really,
for Scant
because it's
Regards.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. Because that is a sort
But
of rockabilly sort of vibe, isn't it?
yeah, kind of, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's kind
yeah,
of I use a lot of that surfy sort of
yeah.
reverb and all that. So
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's great for that. But I've got two of those actually. I've got they're both reissues actually. They were both originally 60s models, but the two I've got are sort of 90s and 2015 or
Yeah,
something, the other
right.
one.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah. Oh, Swervedriver's joined. That's amazing.
Oh, hello, Adam.
Swervedriver's watching you.
Yeah.
Cool. When was the last time you played with Swervedriver?
Oh God, it was a while ago. We did some amazing gigs with Swervedriver. That was a
Hmm.
really a sort of dream gig for me.
Yeah.
They're kind of like my favorite guitar band ever, and
Right.
I'd known them for years since when I played in Seraphim, which was sort of at the beginning of the noughties. We shared a
Yeah.
sound engineer, a guy called Sunil Pasari, who you might know actually, sort of guy with big long dreads right down his bum, sort of really skinny little Indian dude, Australian but from Indian heritage. And
Right.
then Swervedriver sort of stopped doing things for a while. And when they got back together initially, Sunil was like, "Oh, if they don't have a bass player, you should. I'll talk to them, and you should definitely do it." And then, but the original guy came back and did that. And then they got back together and made an album, a few different records with different people. And then Mick from Supergrass started doing that sort of permanently. But because he's so busy with other things, there were a
Right.
few bits and bobs that he couldn't do, and they invited me to come and do. They did a tour where they played their first two albums, Raise and Mezcal Head. And Mezcal Head
Okay.
for me was I think that record would have been like 97 or something like that, or 98, I can't remember. But it was one of those records that when I bought it, I'd never really heard anyone do that big, massive shoegazy things with guitars and also be like really properly rock and roll as well.
Right.
So
Yeah.
when the gig that they asked me to do was to tour that, like playing that album, it was just like, oh
Yeah.
yes.
Oh wow, yeah.
Didn't even have to learn the songs. I already
That's great.
them all from it. So yeah, that was really a dream gig, and then we did that sort of all around Europe and the UK, and a little sort of mini Japanese tour, and then one gig in Taiwan. But I think the last one we did, in fact, I think I met you there, but I think we did a gig supporting the Dandy Warhols at Brixton Academy.
Oh yeah, that's right, yeah.
Like
yeah.
maybe 2-3 years.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago, was it? It was only a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that was the last time we actually played live together. But me and Adam, the singer, have been working on this thing with. I did an album maybe 3 years ago now. It's so mad. We've had this sort of year of nothing, isn't it?
Well, I know. It's like when you say the Dandy Warhols gig, it feels like it was a couple of months ago because it was probably a couple of months before all this shit hit the fan, wasn't it?
It's just been so long since we've been in a venue like doing what we normally do, isn't it? It feels so bizarre. But yeah, recently Adam, the singer from Swervedriver, had done this cover version of an old sort of Stranglers song called La Folie, which is the one that Jean-Jacques Bernal, the bass player, sings in French. And another artist, Josephine Orn, who I worked with a couple of years ago, we are talking about sort of getting together to put some vocals on it, and I put a little bit of bass on. We'll see what happens with it. But we're working on that just now, which is really fun. I guess that's kind of been one of the nice things about this prolonged period of not being out on tour and not having like loads of songs to learn for the next thing, has been being able to collaborate with people remotely on things you would never normally get the chance to do. So it's been quite nice in that respect, I suppose. Have you done any sort of remote collaboration things with people?
Not really. I've just sort of used the time to get on with my own stuff and with my band, She Made Me Do It stuff, really. And that's taken up quite a lot of time, really. It's been quite full on. Because we always promote it all ourselves and all that as well. So it's just, I mean, I'm trying to think. I've done the odd remix for people, you know, and things like that. And I've done a couple of sessions, but I haven't actually been in the studio to do any sessions with people. I've just been adding guitar parts at home, really.
Yeah, I got really into doing that. It's been, because as well as playing bass, I work as a live sound engineer. So
that's right, yeah.
So it's been really interesting having to sort of because I mean, I've obviously, like me and you, we've done loads of recording, but there's always been someone else producing or engineering. You know, I've never had to deal with that. One of the first things in the lockdown I thought I would do is, or else I'd kind of gone nuts, was buy it's a little Wham Dominator bass. In fact, this mobile phone is sitting on top of it. It's right here.
Oh, okay. That's handy.
But I got that, and then I had a bunch of really nice mics from doing live sound, and then I got a much better interface than the one I had. And then just started, I mean, I've been doing remote sessions for a few different people. There's a guy in Italy called Charlie Bonazza, who's a sort of session drummer over there, but he's been making an album. It's really wicked, sort of sounds like early sort of Who or sort of early Blondie sort of vibes. I've been playing a bit of bass on that for him. There's another chap in Switzerland I've been doing stuff for. But it was all like, all right, how am I going to do all that? But, so it's kind of been fun learning a bit more about doing all that sort of stuff, recording at home. I've really enjoyed that side of things.
That's cool, yeah. It's good to be actually forced into a position of doing new stuff, I think, which we all have been.
It makes you, I think that when you have to sort of learn, when you don't know what you're doing, and you have to learn how to do it and just trial and error and make stuff work, that's kind of sometimes when it's the most fun. Like, you know, it's sort of like that same buzz you got from being in a band when you were like, I don't know, like 16 or 17, you've no idea really how anything works, but suddenly this really brilliant noise is happening, and you know.
Absolutely, and
there's
always something else to discover. There's a couple of people singing the praises of Seraphim on here.
Interesting.
So that's cool. Seraphim were fantastic. Saw them live. Loxy Watsy says.
Nice.
Seraphim definitely fantastic.
I mean, that was, God, that was such a long time. That was probably around the same time you were playing regularly with Rachel Stam. I don't think we may have played together. I don't remember.
No, you did, but I think that might have been before. What were you? You weren't in it from the start, were you?
No,
Seraphine?
I joined. I think around. Well, they went to South by Southwest in 2002, and I think I joined a couple of weeks before that. So whenever that.
I think. Yeah. I mean, when did they start, Seraphine? Because I reckon it could have even been late '90s when they played with us. Because we definitely played with them. Played with them at the Underworld. I remember that.
Yeah, right. I did do a gig with them at the Underworld, but I don't think it was.
Or maybe. Yeah, I just got the feeling it was before that.
Yeah,
for some reason. It seemed like.
They were around for a bit. I mean, I remember when I joined, they'd supported a few bigger bands. You guys were probably one of them, and they supported Muse. I remember they did some dates with them at Brixton places, and I think they'd done bits and bobs with you. They had a Canadian guy that was playing bass with them before I joined. Funnily enough, Johnny Burrell, who's the singer from Razorlight, which is another gig I did before the lockdown, he played bass for them for a little bit. We had quite a good laugh.
Okay.
About that. But
so was that before you did it, or?
Oh yeah, miles before, like a couple of years.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah.
But he might have been in the band then when they supported us. Then I don't know.
That would it'd have been pretty hilarious. Yeah. That was really funny because after Razorlight played in at the end of their UK tour in Brixton, the Electric. The singer, Ben Fox-Smith, the singer from Seraphine, came down, and we were all sitting, me and Johnny and Bjorn and Ben, and we're all sitting at this table at the after party, just talking. And Johnny was talking about when Ben fired him from Seraphine for being. I think he turned up off his face for rehearsal or something like that, or the manager fired him. I couldn't remember the exact story. It was really hilarious. It was one of those really kind of funny, like, whoa, this is really gone like that.
Yeah, that is weird. It's weird, all the crossovers, isn't it? All the
I guess it just happens as we all get a bit older and sort of all the people that are still doing it. You've definitely bumped into one of them.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. But it's weird when the other person has gone right up, and then other people stay where they are, I guess, and it's weird the way it crosses over like that, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, there's so many sort of ups and downs. I mean, I think that's the thing. You're one of those people as well, Will, that has been like, obviously you when you were in Rachel Stamp, that was probably like one of your bigger bands, and the same for me with Seraphine. Like that was a band that did a few things.
Yeah.
Then that kind of stops, and you need to, because you want to keep playing music, you want to keep finding other things that will work, and there are so many moments that one week you're playing to like 1,000 people a night or whatever, and then 6 months later you're playing in tiny venues, or it's just so much of a roller thing. It's really strange. I was really shocked and very pleasantly surprised when I got the call to play for Iggy, it's like 6 or 7 years ago now. But I was just kind of almost, I think I was maybe 39 or something. And I was sort of thinking, because I'd been really busy doing live sound, and I was sort of thinking, oh, this is probably going to be like, I'll still play, but I probably won't do any like massive gigs anymore. And then
then that happened.
I got a call to do that gig, and it was sort of like, wow, all right, well, I'll maybe be a bit busier playing again. So it's so funny, just when you least expect it, some of that stuff pops.
Oh yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. So and then you kind of just went on tour straight away, or how long did it take before you were asked? The time lapse between when you were asked and actually on tour. How with Iggy?
We got asked maybe sort of 6 months. I remember the guitarist, the guy who's like the MD of that band's a guy called Kevin Armstrong, and he played with Iggy on the Blah 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 album. That's when they met. Of
course, yeah.
7 or 86 or something, maybe even earlier than that, but in the 80s. And Iggy's manager got in touch with him to put a band together, and we'd done a gig. I mean, it would have been quite a bit before, maybe a year before that. We'd done this really weird kind of arty gig together, and he just phoned me up and said, "What are you doing in June summon next year?" And this was like maybe November, December, something like that. And always when you get a call like that, I thought, I don't know for a start, and he said, "Oh, save the date." And I thought, I don't know what it is, but it's going to be something quite big if it's that far ahead. Because 6 months ahead, that it's going to be. Yeah.
How did you know Kevin then?
We'd done this really strange gig together. I was on tour with this blues singer, this guy Tristan Mackay, And
Right.
Kevin posted something on Facebook saying it was something along the lines of, "Does anyone know any like proper like rock and roll kind of bass players for this art rock thing that they were doing?" And a mate
Yeah.
of mine that worked for Seraphine's record label, a guy called Mike Audley. I mean, as usual, when people ask for sort of creative people on Facebook, got tons of replies. But Mike messaged him and
Yeah.
tagged me in the message and said, "Forget, forget about all these other clowns. This is the guy you need."
All right. Right.
Which was really sweet of him. And then Kev
Yeah.
got in touch with me, and the gig was with this sort of really sort of wacky art rock woman called Alex Zapak. And she was doing a gig to promote an album she'd made, but it was really wacky music, like a lot of noise, like music concrete kind of thing. And then just some
Right.
of it was just her screaming over this stuff. And a lot of it was just cueing off the vocal. Like whenever she decided we were going to the chorus, we were going to the chorus. And then, you know, like,
All
it
right.
was,
Yeah.
it was pretty mad. And
Yeah.
there were also these dancers involved that stood on light boxes. At one point in the gig, I remember they had dead fish and they were hitting people with the fish.
Oh my God.
And we got on the stage and she'd made us all dress up in these sort of dog collars. And there was a half-naked black woman next to me with a bullwhip and like, and then Alex got carried onto the stage like wrapped in cling film, just naked on a crucifix and that. And it was in, of all the places, it was in the Purple Turtle in Campton that we did.
Oh really? Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was totally weird. It was really mad. But I think the fact that, and it was me and the guy who ended up playing drums for Iggy and Kevin that were the band. And I
Right.
think just because we managed to get through that, had a lot of fun, held it together reasonably well, and you know, had a laugh doing it, that he thought, well, if we're going to go on and play with Iggy, who can be quite chaotic as well, that's the kind of people, you know, I want to do it. You must have really similar experiences of playing with a vocalist who you don't know what they're going to do next when you play with Adam,
Well,
right?
yeah, well, it's weird you say the Purple Turtle because immediately I thought of the gig that I did with Adam at the Purple Turtle.
Right.
And that was one of the most chaotic ones I've ever done with him, really.
Right.
I mean, basically, he decided he just wanted to go on probably about a couple of hours before we were all expecting to go on. So half the band wasn't even there. So we only had like a sort of stripped down band.
Right.
Yeah, that was crazy. And then the police, for some reason, the police turned up, and it was just insane. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, no, yeah, and yeah, a lot of those gigs I did back then with him, I didn't know what was going to happen. Yeah, so but that was a particularly erratic one, but it's not like that now at all.
Yeah, and people probably don't realise, but when we first sort of met, I was working at the joint rehearsal room in King's Cross, and you asked me to come and guitar tech for Adam, and we actually did a couple of gigs together. I think one was at the 100 Club, and one was maybe at the garage or at the Electric Ballroom or something like that. But we did a couple of, so I got to experience that firsthand. That.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the garage. The garage was the last one I did, kind of before I had a little break.
Right. Right.
I can't. Did we play the 100 Club? I can't remember actually. Can't remember that one.
I'm pretty sure there was one at the 100 Club. I remember. I think I only did two, and I think.
You might have done that after I'd left, because I think he might have done that right after I left. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't remember. Oh, do you know what? That might be right, because I think there were a whole bunch of different people playing guitar.
That was probably Tom Edwards and maybe someone else doing it, or it might have been Chris McCormack. I don't know. But
one of the guys that was doing it was that guy Boz that plays for Morrissey.
Oh yeah, Boz. Yeah, Boz used to play a lot of the London ones with us. We at least do a few songs, but he
was there, and I remember it was just bananas, that gig. I remember there was like a stage invasion at one point, and there were no security, so I had to like at one point I'd like my foot against the two vocal wedges because the mic stand kept clipping Adam in the teeth,
oh shit, yeah.
It was just banana. It was like one of those kind of things that was absolutely mental, but fun, but really like proper punk rock. It was like proper like yeah.
That's what that must have been right after, because I can't remember doing that. I did the 100 Club with him a few years later, but that was more of an acoustic thing we did, so it's a bit more civilized.
I'm pretty sure at that gig at the 100 Club there were like two drummers and.
Oh, probably, yeah.
I can't really remember, but the details of it. It was a long time ago, but yeah. But that.
It was probably Yola and it's probably Yola and Andy on drums then. Yeah,
Yola was the girl with
same
the
as
big
now.
hair. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's right.
So are you playing with Adam just now? Are you guys doing? Do you know what you're doing this year? I guess probably.
Well, we have all these festivals. We've got about 10 festivals basically, starting in July. They were supposed to be starting earlier, but now they're going to be starting in July.
Right.
So as of now, it's all on. But I'm not counting on anything until I'm standing on that stage. Really,
I'm
because
exactly the
who
same.
knows.
Yeah, I
But
think so many times we've just seen, oh, the festivals are going to happen now, and every time it just gets
yeah,
pushed back again, like people play
exactly.
things and cancel things, and yeah, so I the
So
same. It's like I'll believe it when I'm on the bus.
exactly, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, Boris is going to have to like chauffeur me there, and reassure
yeah,
me everything's
yeah,
fine,
yeah, yeah.
before I go on stage, and give me a
Back you on one
vaccine,
of his, back you on
take my
one of his
temperature.
flights.
So what's
Yeah,
that?
take your
Sorry?
temperature. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Get him to guitar tech for you. Like, yeah.
Boris, yeah, I've heard he's good at that. Yeah,
He'd be quite a big obstacle for people like
that's
stage
true.
musicians. It'd be
Yeah,
difficult to get
he'd be a
around.
bit handy actually, wouldn't he?
He
Yeah.
would be, yeah, definitely be useful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'd like to order him around. That'd be cool.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Me too.
Not that I order techs around at all. They
Yeah,
normally order me. It's normally the other way around, really. But yeah,
yeah,
there you go.
yeah. I'm the same. I'm very compliant. Yeah,
You
yeah,
gotta be. You gotta
yeah,
be.
yeah. Absolutely.
So so what was the last gig you did then before this? Was that Iggy or?
Strangely, I've done one gig or two gigs in the middle of all this, and they were
Uh,
with this drag artist that I work with occasionally called Diane Shorley, and
okay,
we did one. They're both socially distanced shows, and I think one was 2 nights for their album launch, and one was
right.
just a kind of pre-Christmas party, and they were both at the Clapham Grands. But that's a funny kind of gig because there's a lot of different guest musicians and it's a bit of a drag show. So she talks a lot,
Okay.
and then we play these sort of like 80s inspired pop tunes. It's a good laugh. It's really really good
All
fun.
right.
But that band is incredible. It's just a really amazing bunch of musicians. There are guys from like Laura Marlin's band, from like Mumford and Sons, from Robbie Williams' band, and people
Right.
just kind of come and do it because it's really good fun. It's
Cool.
just hilarious. So the gig that I did, Laura's bass player, a guy called Nick Penny, who's a really fantastic bass player, did the second half and I did the first half, and it was really good fun because you never ever as a bass player, like for guitarists, you quite often will do a gig with another guitarist. But as a
Yeah,
bassist, there's never two of you on the same gig. So
that's true.
me and
Yeah.
Nick had such a right old laugh, like getting together and going, oh, how do you do that? Oh, right.
Yeah.
So we learned a lot and just had a really, really good time. And we were saying by the end of it, oh, I wish there were more bands that wanted to have two bass players on a gig.
I can only think of one band, and that's Ned's Atomic
Ned's
Dustbin.
Atomic
Used that.
Dustbin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
how did you work it out? Did one of you do lower parts and one of you do higher parts, or was it like just a big wash of bass?
Yeah, well, we only did one song where we both played at the same time, and that
Yeah.
was on the Christmas.
Oh, okay, right.
And it was so like that gig. There's first half interval and then the second half. So I did the first half, and then
Oh, I
the
see. Right.
second half, and then I think at a couple of points we swapped. It was just
Yeah.
who had played, because loads of different people played on the album, and I think we just played the bits we knew and stuff. So it worked out fine like that. But the song that we actually both played bass on was the Feed the World thing that that
Oh,
we
okay.
did. It was just ridiculous. So one of us did like a bass line, and the other one was an octave up. We realised when you both start playing in the same area, like the phase relationship or the big notes gets really weird, and they kind of
Yeah, I'm
cancel
sure.
each
Yeah.
other out. So it
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
really work to do
Mm.
that. You need to like high pass the bass and like
Unless you're Spinal Tap doing Big Bottom
big bottom.
with 4 basses,
Yeah.
it gets beyond the point.
Playing
Yeah.
all four yourself, like
Yeah, exactly.
extra appendages, and yeah.
Oh, Loxy Watsy says I saw The Fall with 2 basses. Wow.
I've
Okay,
never
so that's
seen
another one.
that, but I've seen video of that, and they did you
Right.
know that song Blindness? They did a really killer
Yes,
version.
that's amazing. That song, yeah.
That
That's
bass line
the
is
bass part on that is just amazing. That riff,
sick,
yeah,
absolutely sick.
yeah.
And I think the video, because I got a bit obsessed by that song and that bass line, and the video I saw of them, there was one guy playing like a sort of long scale bass, and the other bass player had a little short scale Music Master bass,
All
and one
right.
just like sonically like sat on top of the other one, and it was amazing, like really
Oh
like
wow.
proper wall of
Yeah.
sound stuff. But yeah,
Wow.
that was really cool. Yeah. Do you play any bass on the Scant Regard stuff? Because Shahina
Uh,
plays bass and she made me do it, right? And
yeah, that's right.
yeah,
But yeah, no, I sometimes mix real bass on it.
yeah,
It's mostly sequence synth bass, you know. But
yeah, got you.
yeah, no, it's actually on the last couple of albums. There's quite a lot of real bass on it. So I really like playing the bass. You know, I like, and it's great to sort of just sit at home playing the bass, and then when you go back to playing the guitar, it's just so easy. You know,
Yeah,
'cause your fingers are just like,
it's
oh,
a
this is like a little
business.
toy. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I have that whenever I go from playing like a short scale bass. It's
yeah.
so easy, and then you go to playing like the proper,
Oh
and
yeah,
it feels like a much more of a mission. But yeah,
yeah,
I lo- I just love how like when you're standing, get in front of like a proper bass amp, like how you really feel it. Like it's just there's so much like weight in the sound. That's really
right.
made me fall in love with the bass guitar. It's a
Yeah, yeah.
tremendous racket that.
Did you ever play the guitar then? Did you ever?
Very
What did you play
badly.
first?
Yeah, I started. I was one of those kids whose parents made them learn classical instruments when I was little. So I started
Yeah,
playing violin when I was 5, and then I played the piano for a bit, and then
right.
at high school I learned saxophone very briefly. Basically learned how to play the Pink Panther theme tune, and then thought, this isn't for me. And then I played the classical guitar for a bit, and
Yeah,
I owned briefly a sort of red and white. I think it was a Squire Stratocaster that my
right.
parents bought me. But I was never really, and in the first bands I was in at school, I played guitar and sang a little bit. But as soon as I found the bass, it was like that's what I want to be doing. Like
Yeah, yeah,
I wasn't a great guitar player, but yeah, a little bit. But I enjoy it. It's quite nice to play guitar just because it's melodic. Like it's nice to have
yeah.
an instrument that's that's
You got a few guitars there then,
I don't
have
have
you?
any. Oh, I've
Oh,
got
you don't have
one.
any, right?
I've got
I
one
can
really
see.
terrible acoustic guitar. It's just
Right.
like a Washburn something or other. But that's it. But I was actually thinking about trying to buy a guitar, like an electric guitar, just for writing songs on and stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
But I don't know. I don't really know what to get. I quite like those like Les Paul Jr. kind of looking guitars. They're kind of cool.
right.
That's what I kind of fancy. This sort of Johnny Thunders guitar. I really like the look of that.
Yeah, they're great. They always sound
Yeah,
great.
and it looks like so. Just one pickup, and like
Yeah.
even a bass player can't fuck that up.
Yeah.
But it might be possible. But yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, it's definitely. I mean, they just do one thing, but they do it really well. You know, I think
Right.
guitars like that. You know, so if you
Yeah.
want that biting Johnny Thunder sound, is perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, someone told me, or Iggy's guitarist told me that if I'm going to get one of them, to get it with P90s, which that was his
Yeah.
advice anyway. That is like the totally
P90s are great. Yeah.
the right thing to do. But I'm pretty clueless about guitars. How many guitars do you actually own? How many do you own?
I think I've got about 10 or 11. It's weird
Same.
because I've got more guitars now over the last year because I just got a couple of new ones than I've ever had, I think. And there's no gigs, you know, so it's just kind of
Yeah.
ironic, really.
It's been easy to
But
sort of click to think during this whole lockdown period. Oh, I definitely oh yeah, I need one of those. Like, definitely need one of those.
yeah. There's a
Yeah.
lot of time to mull it over, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. These critical
that's the problem.
guitar-related decisions. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, probably I think maybe 11 or 12. But one of mine I actually got because I was actually in LA just before I came back here when it all started shutting down over there,
Yeah.
and I bought a guitar so that I could use it out there. And obviously, I haven't been able to go back out, so I really wish I just brought it back with me now because that was a really nice '60s Teisco, an actual original
Oh, one of
one.
the Sophie guitars.
Yeah,
Nice.
so yeah, but you know, it's nice to have a guitar out there as well that I can go and because it's with my solo stuff, I can just pick up a guitar and just plug in anywhere, you know.
Got
So
you.
it's just cool to do
Yeah.
that. But
I'm glad you said you have 12 guitars because I have 10 basses here, and that's made me feel
yeah,
slightly less bad about having that many. So thank
that's
you.
it's not. I mean, some people have, you know, 50 or something, don't they? I mean, it's kind
Yeah,
of, I wouldn't feel
yeah,
bad about having 10.
yeah.
I think
No, I think 10 is
that's a good
acceptable.
number.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
I
round
think that's
number, isn't it?
perfect.
It's decimal.
Yeah,
It's like new money.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, perfect.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Who's it? Check out Banning Guitars. Okay, that rings a bell actually. Banning Guitars.
Banning guitars. Yeah.
I don't think guitars should be banned,
Oh,
but
I've just realised
uh,
that this is people are telling us things in this little
yeah,
thing.
yeah. Someone, uh,
Oh, that's Lolita
girls.
Terra Senses Maurizio. Hello.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some people there you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, there will be. No doubt there will be. Sorry, I'm a bit of an amateur with Instalat.
nah, it's all right. It's
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
Girls versus boys also had two bases apparently,
Yeah, they did.
right?
That's a good point. Yeah, I need to listen to them again. Those are records that I listened to way back that I haven't. I
Yeah.
need to visit those records. What are you listening to at the moment? Well, is there anything in particular that's on the stereo at home that's floating around?
This week there was a new release by this German guy that I really like. Well, actually, the band's called Liebknecht. It's like kind of, it's just really well done,
Yeah,
German techno electro stuff. So I've been listening to that a lot this week. What else? Uh, that's about it, really. There was a new
yeah.
release from Cabaret Voltaire as well that I've started listening to.
Oh, that's
Although
cool.
I,
I'd quite like to have a listen to that. That sounds interesting.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
good, but it's kind of it's weird because there's only one guy still involved, so the vocalist
Right.
doesn't do it,
Yeah.
and that guy does it. Richard H. Kirk. He's kind of had so many solo albums over the years that it might as well just be him solo, you know. But he's doing it under Cabaret Voltaire, so.
Got you.
Um, but yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. Still, mainly electronic stuff is what I listen to. Really, you know, I don't
Got
listen to
you.
that many
Interesting.
guitar.
I was really, it made me really happy that Mogwai got to #1 in the album charts this week.
Oh, I didn't know
It really
that. I don't know what's going on in the
opened.
charts.
Yeah. Oh well, I mean, they've been together now for like 25 years, and I think
Right.
the idea, because when I knew them well, I mean, I still see them when I go back to Glasgow occasionally, but when I knew them really well, like we were all rehearsing in this tiny little sort of practice place in Maryhill, like one of the really sort of poor bits of Glasgow, and just the
Right.
idea of them having a #1 album, thinking back to those times, is so like
That's great.
alien. So it really does feel like quite a nice thing to have happened. Like to
That's
them,
great because they're one of those bands that have always been there, haven't they, through the
yeah,
years? And they've obviously got like a solid following that will just get everything they do.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, well, I didn't realize they were #1. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. No,
yeah.
I've been really. It was quite funny. The guy who's what's his name? Elijah Wood, the guy who's from Lord of the Rings. You know, like the guy who's a Hobbit
Oh
in
yeah,
Lord of the Rings, was
yeah.
tweeting about how much he loved them and how much he thought it would be great if they got to
All right.
#1 in the album charts. And one
Yeah.
of the other guys, Barry, who's plays well, they'll play sort of various different things, but he plays sort of keyboards and synths and a bit of guitar and stuff like that as well. Said on Twitter this week, if a Hobbit can't get us to #1, nothing fucking can. And they
That's true.
managed it. So yeah, so that made me laugh. But I thought that was really great. So I bought the album yesterday. I haven't actually had a chance to stick that on yet, but that'll be the next thing that I
All
listen to.
right, cool.
Looking
Yeah, I
forward to.
don't really know that much of their stuff. It's just one of those bands that I always see, and I mean, have they changed a lot over the years? Are they still doing the same kind of thing, or
It's kind of
is it?
similar. It's maybe a bit more sort of makes you think a little bit more. The music is a bit less sort of bombastic than what it was at the beginning. So it was a lot of it that just being very dynamic and overwhelming with noise, and then being very sort of peaceful, which they still do.
All
But
right,
I think there are more sort of different textures and stuff in the music now. But I don't know. I
all
mean,
right.
I'll I'll let you know when I hear when I
Yeah, yeah.
actually
Okay,
pick the record on how the new record sounds. But it's really
cool.
great because everything they do is like independently released, and you know it feels like a nice sort of thing. Sort of one of those
Yeah, that's great. And so you know them from Glasgow then, from back
yeah,
then. Yeah.
yeah. Funnily enough, their label in Glasgow, Rock Action Records, it's called. They released the last Swervedriver studio album. So when we toured the UK with Swervedriver, and we went up to Glasgow, like I don't know if they were all there. Stuart was definitely there. I saw him afterwards. We went out for a drink afterwards. So
Right.
that was that's another one of those things that you know, like you've known people for that long, and then they end up releasing the record of the band that you're playing in for, like
Yeah,
you know, all those
that
kind of
is
things. So
weird.
it all feels like the good vibes. Like I always feel like when those really kind of crazy coincidences start happening, that you're onto a roll with something quite good, you know, like that kind of thing when you're on tour and like we're at like Wyoming or something like that, and you bump into your mate that you live down the road from, and suddenly it's like, oh, all these weird coincidences are happening for a reason. I sort of believe this.
Oh yeah, it is very strange sometimes. The last time that happened to me, it was in somewhere in America, and I bumped into Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick, who we actually supported years ago. Rachel Stamp supported them, so I bumped into him. He was in the same hotel.
Yeah,
And
right.
well, sorry, my battery's nearly running out. I better watch out. And literally, I walked a couple of blocks, and Boz Bora was on the next corner.
Oh, man.
So it's just like all these guitarists that I sort of known just from different parts of the world, just in one town at the same time. Very strange that was. But yeah, that does happen. It does happen.
I love it. I really, I do enjoy it when that sort of thing happens, definitely.
Yeah, because I guess he was there with Morrissey. Yeah, when everyone was touring around. Yeah. So that's cool. So what's your next actual gig that's booked? Have you got anything?
Oh, well, we've normally when we play with the band that I do with Marc Almond is called The Loveless.
Yeah.
And we kind of started doing that. I think Marc just wanted to play some of the songs that he really loved from when he was like a kid, like stuff that he grew up with. So we do all these kind of old school garage rock cover versions. So like we do a cover of like Black Knight, and we do like a Sweet Song, and like loads of different like old kind of nostalgic sort of things. And we just sort of recorded a few bits. We did some Alice Cooper covers, like old school like Alice Cooper. And we've done our first sort of original song. So we normally get together in a couple of weeks before Christmas, and we do like, say like the 100 Club in London and a few gigs around the country. So we had a gig in the calendar for December, which obviously got cancelled. It got moved to Valentine's Day. So we were going to be, instead of a Loveless Christmas, going to be a Loveless Valentine. Then it got moved to the 1st of May. Now it's been moved to, oh God, I can't remember the date. They're going to kill me for not being able to remember the date. But if you look on the Loveless UK on Instagram, it will have a date on it. It's the end of, I think it's maybe the 27th of May, but I can't remember. But so we've got a socially distanced show in London, which will be 2 gigs. One at 6 o'clock and one at 8 o'clock or something, I can't remember. We're doing two in a night. So hopefully, after being moved 3 or 4 times, we're actually going to do the gig. What we did do, which was quite a good laugh, for the gig in December, we recorded a bunch of songs and made a sort of little mini album. I think it's like 6 or 7 tracks, pressed up to vinyl. And so we've just done another one of those, or we've just been in the studio. I think we've recorded like 5 or 6, and we're going to do a few more and release that, and hopefully in time for the show at the end.
That's
of the
great.
Because that's the only real sort of thing we've got to look forward to. And then with bigger things, I don't really know. I don't think Iggy is keen to do anything this year, so maybe next year he'll want to get back to doing, because that's nearly all. We don't really do any normal sort of touring with him. It's nearly all sort of big festival shows. So I don't think that's going to happen with him this year. I think probably next year if he's.
So it could be summer 22, I guess. Yeah, cool.
It's crazy to think it's going to be that far away, but it looks like it. At the
Time's flying, you know. It'll be like a couple of weeks, and it'll be 22.
It'll be there. Yeah. And then with Razorlight, I don't know what they're going to do for the rest of the year. I probably need to have a chat with them and just various other people that. It'd be really nice. I guess one of the things that has been difficult about this mentally is that you just never know, like what you were saying about, I'll believe it when I'm stood on a stage and I'm ready to do the gig. It's like, you know, even if you do get booked to do something in 3 months time, you're still going to be like, oh, is this really going to happen? There is a bit of your brain, or I've definitely found there's a bit of my brain going, am I ever going to do a gig again? Like, you have to kind of have that in your head just in case, you know. It's just you know, so that's kind of like your fallback plan, really. It's just otherwise you're just gonna be disappointed, you know, if you just get excited. If you get excited by every date, you know, because this US tour that we had has been 3 times it's been moved now, you know. So, the whole tour, you know. But fingers crossed that happens later in the year for you. Well, I really hope so, man.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. Well,
we should try and do some music together at some point again. Like,
absolutely. Yeah, let's do it now.
Yeah.
I tried that on here 1 week, and it was just ridiculous because there's like a 1 second delay or something. It was just like, give up. It was too arty, too experimental.
It might be a chance for me to finally get this terrible sounding guitar on.
Guy, you should, man. You should just. It's worth getting Top of the Pops back just so you can go on that and mine with that. I think. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. I saw a guy I know today on Instagram. Funnily enough, Dave Swift, his name is. I think he plays bass for Jules Holland. He's one of those like proper collector guys who buy like 4 different colours of the same bass and just keep them in a cupboard somewhere. But he had these things, headless body, like you remember those little Steinberger?
Oh yeah.
Westone made them, right? They're like that. It's like a box, but it's got the pickup with 2 poles in the middle on a little rail, and you can move it backwards and forwards. It's called the Westone rail bass. It's one of the ugliest things I've ever seen, but I'd love to know what it sounds like. Yeah.
And maybe they'll come back one day, those headless things. Who knows? You know.
I definitely want one now. I think maybe I'll have 11 guitars by this time next week. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, see, I probably would talk longer, but I'm down to like 5%, which is ridiculous. I really should be more.
Don't disappear, and I'll just be like, "What? Well."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then I won't be able to upload it either, so it'll be like it never happened. You know, it'll be like a footprint in the snow. You know.
Yeah.
Or the tree that. No, what I mean is the tree that fell that no one ever saw.
That no one heard. No one
was
there,
exactly. That's what I mean. Not the footprint in the snow. But yeah, no, it's been brilliant to talk to you. And
let's do it anytime, Will. It's a real pleasure.
Yeah, I mean, I do this every Saturday. If you're around, just pop up and I'll get you on again whenever. Yeah, cool.
Amazing.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah.
And thanks, Mr. Ben Ellis.
Thanks, Mr. Will Crewdson.
I'll speak to you soon. I hopefully see you soon as well.
Cheers.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.